suspect and his connection to the VA Medical Center here in Louisville. Also, the tragedy of 3 people dead, 2 wounded civilian workers at the Army post from towns around Kentuckiana. And we'll have reaction from the people who live and work near the Fort Knox community. We begin tonight with Chris Turner, who is live in Fort Knox where the shooting occurred this morning. Chris, we go to you for the latest.
Gary, let's set the scene for you. It's the building behind me here, the Training Support Center. You see 2317 on the side of the building here, and the shootings occurred in this area toward the front and the right side where you see the blue blinds over the window. Apparently, this was a massacre at the hands of an employee who was upset over not getting a promotion, and the suspect, Arthur Hill, allegedly vented his anger with a .38 caliber pistol. Dick Caulfield was working next door to the Training Support Center when he and co-workers heard a loud rap on the door. It was someone who'd run from the bullets and needed help.
And that's the first we heard, was that somebody had been shot, and then reports were made after that.
Inside the support center, it's building 2317. 3 people lay dead, 2 others critically hurt, all shot, allegedly by co-worker Arthur Hill. He got away, apparently just before MPs started a base-wide search, looking in trunks and checking IDs. Hill later ended up at the VA hospital in Louisville, where he shot himself in a restroom. And back at the support center at Fort Knox, detectives looked for clues to a motive as relatives of the shooting victims came to the scene.
They were just torn apart. They couldn't understand why it happened and why did it have to happen to them or their loved one is about the underlying theme behind the whole thing.
No one remembers anything like this ever happening at Fort Knox, and the base is looking ahead, bringing in help for the survivors.
That is ongoing. In fact, there were chaplains already on the scene to talk to not only the victims' families, but also some of the co-workers and other people in the area.
Now, apparently Arthur Hill brought the gun here to work this morning, then opened fire about 10:15. One of the people killed here was Hill's boss, and the others were co-workers. Fort Knox officers tell us that they know of no grievances that he would have filed in connection with his work here, and no disciplinary action, although other sources do tell us that Hill was upset over being passed over for promotion. Apparently he was given a temporary promotion, and then he was demoted at the end of that. He was not happy about that. Back to you, Gary.
All right, Chris Turner reporting live tonight from Fort Knox, the scene of today's shooting. Thanks, Chris.
And of course, as we have said, the story does not end at Fort Knox. After the shooting on post, the gunman Arthur Hill goes to the Veterans Medical Center right here in Louisville. That's where he apparently shot himself. Our Donna Lacey is live at the VA Center. Donna, is Arthur Hill expected to live?
Well, Melissa, right now Arthur Hill is in the surgical intensive care unit here at the VA hospital, barely holding on to life. We're told his wife Gwendolyn has joined him and is at his side. He is in critical condition. That's because police say he shot himself once in the mouth. About 3 hours after the shooting at Fort Knox, Arthur Hill showed up here at Louisville's Veterans Administration Hospital. In this restroom, cleaned up now. Police say he tried to kill himself, shot himself once in the mouth. Margie Cook was nearby.
I had just come out of the ladies' room. At the time, I didn't think anything about it. I just thought somebody had dropped something. Apparently, that was when he shot himself.
Police believe Arthur Hill meant no one else harm here.
Certainly when you've got a number of people shot at another location and he enters a public building like this, there was some potential for some more danger, I'm sure, but he didn't hurt anyone else. He just went in the bathroom and apparently shot himself.
In the parking lot, his car, parked with all the others. A Fort Knox pass on the windshield. A disabled veteran sticker on the back. The VA hospital confirms the Vietnam veteran came here, but only for regular medical visits.
Standard medical illnesses. He was seen in our primary care clinic and just general medicine clinics.
Was he being treated for any psychiatric illnesses?
No, he was not.
What Hill did come to this VA hospital for was orthopedic, eye, and primary care on an outpatient basis. Sandler, the administrator there, says he has no idea why Hill chose this place to try to kill himself. Melissa?
All right, Donna Lacey reporting live tonight from the VA Medical Center. Thank you.
And we have just learned more about Arthur Hill from the FBI. Agents held a news conference just minutes ago. Our Chuck Olmstead has just returned from the news conference. He joins us now from the newsroom. Chuck?
You know, Gary, perhaps the question that begs an answer more than anything else is why? What touched off this shooting rampage? And that's exactly the question we threw to the FBI just minutes ago.
Mr. Cole, is there any indication that he had specific victims, specific targets in mind?
No, and many times the FBI terms this particular type of killing as a spree killing. You have serial murders, you have mass murders, and spree killers, and this is what the FBI terms as a spree. Merely walking in, having some contact with some of the people, and at one location killing a number of people and then leaving. We believe that for a weapon, he used a .38 caliber revolver. It was also the same weapon that we believe he used on himself.
Agent Cole, and Agent Cole also says this is another sad reminder that employers, private or public, simply can't ignore any of the warning signs when it comes to disgruntled employees. In the newsroom, this is Chuck Olmstead. Gary, back to you.
All right, thank you, Chuck.
And Arthur Hill lived in Radcliffe, Kentucky. Our Mark Hebert has spent this day talking with people who know Arthur Hill, and Mark joins us live now from the Fort Knox Post. Mark?
Well, Melissa, one of Arthur Hill's next-door neighbors told me this afternoon that you never really know your next-door neighbor, do you? And in this case, the next-door neighbors didn't know the Artie Hill that they thought they did. They say Artie Hill was a nice guy, a big, lovable man who loved children. And they say that there were never any signs that this mild-mannered 53-year-old could turn into a gunman that nobody knew. Arthur and Gwen Hill have lived in this typical Radcliffe home for more than a decade. Neighbors call Artie a friendly man who was always wearing a smile, except for today.
I can't believe that.
Why?
Because I can. He's a good man. He's a good person. And I just can't believe that. Some must have set him off.
Was he mad about anything on post?
No, he never was mad. You know, he was always happy.
Just never got mad? Neighbors describe Artie as a man who loved children, often letting them shoot baskets at his house, even though his 3 children are grown up and gone. He coached junior Babe Ruth baseball for a couple of years, but Tom Arflin knows Hill best as the coach of 10, 11, and 12-year-old kids in the North Hardin Youth Football League.
I personally liked him an awful lot. We had our differences in coaching philosophies, different things that might have come up during the season, but he had a good rapport with the kids, all kids. And as far as I know, they liked him an awful lot.
Arflin says Hill sometimes ran up the score on other teams, but never got angry or blew up on the sidelines. In a September column in Fort Knox's newspaper, John Rickey wrote that high school football players crowded around Arthur and Gwen Hill at one game, making it clear that the Hills are role models for those teenagers. And apparently Mr. Hill was a role model for several of the youth in this Radcliffe community. He no longer coaches youth football. He quit doing that in 1987. Neighbors say he still hangs around with the neighborhood kids. And for those of you that hang out at Churchill Downs and saw the picture and thought you knew that guy, you probably did. One of his friends says that Arthur Hill loves to go up to Churchill Downs and play the ponies. Melissa?
Thank you, Mark. It's difficult and shocking to understand from anybody's point of view. Thank you very much.
Fort Knox released the names of those killed in today's shooting just a couple of hours ago, and here they are. They are Paul Higdon from Louisville. He was 49 years old, and he was Arthur Hill's supervisor. Another killed today was Deborah Glenn. She is from Vine Grove, Kentucky, and she was 36 years old. And Wanda Simmons also died. She is from Rock Haven. She was 45. 2 other people were shot and injured, Roger Saltzman, who lives in Hodgenville, and Judy Nemick from Radcliffe. Both are 50 years old. Now, the 2 civilians who were injured in the Fort Knox shooting were airlifted to the University Hospital Trauma Center here. Lisa Chiava joins us now live from University Hospital, where those 2 have been undergoing surgery today. Lisa, how are they doing at this hour?
Gary, right now, both have been released from surgery. Judy Nemick required 4 hours of surgery. Roger Saltzman required 5 hours of surgery. They're in the intensive care unit. Both of them were listed in critical condition when they arrived. Not the usual Stat Flight air ambulance. Instead, to save time, a Black Hawk helicopter from Fort Knox rushed the 2 surviving shooting victims to University Hospital. Roger Saltzman was brought out first. He was shot in the throat and the chest. His co-worker, Judy Nemick, was also shot in the chest. Injury so serious, doctors determined it was worth the 20-minute flight from Fort Knox to reach this special trauma hospital.
We are the area's level 1 trauma center. To my knowledge, the hospital at Fort Knox is not a level 1 trauma center, though it is very good. If with injuries as critical as they were, this is where they needed to be, and so that's why they were flown here.
2 hours after they arrived at University Hospital, teams of surgeons began their work on the 2 victims, hoping each would be a life-saving operation. Families of the victims waited for word behind closed doors. The hospital gave a brief update at the halfway point during the surgery.
The 2 victims are still in critical condition. They are in surgery. We expect them to be in surgery for another couple of hours, and then in recovery after that.
Of course, that update was given at the halfway point. We now know that both are out of surgery and both are still listed in critical condition. Gary?
All right, Lisa Chiava live tonight at University Hospital. We'll update those conditions tonight at 11. Well, the people who live in and around Fort Knox are, of course, shocked and saddened at what happened today. Our Brooke Willis talked with many of them who live around the post. And Brooke, did many of those people know Arthur Hill?
No, in fact, a lot of the people we spoke with didn't even know any of this had happened until late this afternoon. And resident after resident we spoke with is, as you said, Gary, in shock. They say they always felt that Fort Knox, the neighboring community of Radcliffe, have always been safe and good places to live. And now those same people are asking themselves the troubling question, how could such violence have happened here? It's business as usual here at the Fabric and Lace Outlet in Radcliffe. But on this business day, store owner Rick Howard is in shock after hearing about the shootings.
Oh, that was awful. I mean, of course, you don't expect that. You expect that in a big city. That's the way I do. It's a, small community. You just think, well, this don't happen here.
Customers here are also filled with disbelief. Jane Sanders' husband is a helicopter pilot at Fort Knox.
I heard it from my husband. My reaction to him was, you're kidding. I couldn't believe something like this had happened again. These kind of things seem like they happen all the time.
Fort Knox means everything to the community of Radcliffe. Businesses here depend on it for their survival. It's the last place anyone would have expected to find such violence. The people running the Super Slant car wash can't believe it could happen here.
It's just scary because this is a safe community. You feel safe in this community. You don't hear about things like that happening on post. And if anything does happen on post, it's, an accident, something, but not anything that's deliberate. That's what's so scary about it.
As you can see, people in and around Fort Knox are quite shaken up by all this, Gary.
Brooke Willis reporting tonight live from Fort Knox. Thank you, Brooke.
And you might be wondering how a civilian could carry out such a horrible crime at Fort Knox, considered to be the most secure facility in the world. But that's really just the gold depository. The post is a totally unrestricted facility, just like any town or neighborhood. According to Fort Knox Military Police, the post is open. MPs are stationed at only one of the 3 gates. That's the main gate here at Chaffee Avenue. These are pictures taken today after the shooting. Everyone is being stopped. There are searches on the way out. However, usually no traffic is automatically stopped. As far as weapons are concerned, that's based on Kentucky law. If you have a weapon in your neighborhood, you can also have it on the post. And once again, here's what we know tonight about the killings at Fort Knox. 3 people die when the gunman Arthur Hill begins shooting inside this training center. 2 people are hospitalized tonight at University Hospital. They are both in critical condition after surgery. Then Hill comes to Louisville and apparently shoots himself inside a restroom at the Veterans Medical Center. He is also in critical condition this evening.
Up next at 6 o'clock, another breaking news story. In Louisville today, federal authorities spelling out their new evidence against Tom and Roxanne Suleski.
A witness says they murdered their little girl. Next, new information from testimony today in court.
The news on Kentuckiana's news channel, WHAS 11, is sponsored by Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance. All-around coverage, all around Kentucky.
From eastern to western Kentucky, from the banks of the Ohio to the Kentucky-Tennessee border, in the city or in the country, Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance is there to serve you. For property, vehicle, life, health, or even business insurance, Farm Bureau has the right policy at the right price. Enjoy the peace of mind thousands of Kentuckians have for nearly 50 years with the largest property and casualty company based in Kentucky. Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance, all around coverage, all around Kentucky.
Look what Gordon's just did to seafood. New hot and spicy fillets. New garlic and herb fillets, too.
Only Gordon's got
Because only Gorton's brings you great tasting hot and spicy fillets. And only Gorton's has garlic and herb fillets too.
Only Gorton's got
New hot and spicy, new garlic and herb. You've never tasted crunchy fillets like these. Trust me.
Trust the Gorton's fisherman.
The 6 o'clock news on Kentuckiana's News Channel is simulcast on WMMG Brandenburg, WOCC Corydon, and WAVG Louisville.
If you thought 1993 was a good year at your local Ford dealer, we've got even more for 94. Now, every #1 selling full-size Ford F-150 has a driver's side airbag standard. Plus, the #1 selling compact pickup is even better. Check out the new Ranger Splash Super Cab 4x4. And this year, every Ford car and truck comes with 24-hour roadside assistance. So expect more for 94 when you check out America's #1 cars and trucks. Any questions? Your Ford dealer has the answers. Save on all the 94s at your local Ford dealer today.
What do you call tacky? If someone you know has just awful taste and you don't know how to tell them, now there's a way. The etiquette experts give us the lowdown on good taste and how to get it on the next Oprah.
Tomorrow at 4 on WHAS 11.
Tonight, new evidence has emerged in the case against Tom and Roxanne Suleski, the parents accused of killing their little daughter, Alex. It is the most damaging evidence yet and was revealed in court proceedings to set a bond for the Suleskis today. Our Rachel Platt reports the information came out as prosecutors moved to keep the Suleskis in jail.
Tom and Roxanne Suleski returned to Kentucky last week. Today they were back in court to see if they could be released on bond until they stand trial on charges of lying to the FBI. It was during the hearing that the U.S. attorney laid out new evidence, a video-audio tape of Tom Suleski implicating himself in Alex's death. In that tape, he basically said he took the body to Otter Creek Park and buried it. 2 years later, he returned and dug it up, finding a skull. He said he destroyed the skull and scattered it outside of Kentucky. It was Tom's stepdaughter, Nissa, who wired herself with a microphone and apparently a camera to get the information.
It really is important that we try the case in the courtroom and not out here.
Is this your all smoking gun? This is like the smoking gun.
I don't have any comment about that. I'm not going to characterize any of the evidence.
Defense attorneys say it caught them by surprise.
There's a lot going to happen between now and the trial day.
Will you give that it's damaging?
I'm not going to characterize it at this point.
Today's hearing also laid out more evidence about how Alex died. An FBI agent said Nissa also testified that her mother, Roxanne, had become angry with Alex for vomiting and that she pushed Alex's head into the toilet. After that, she placed Alex in a plastic bag. All the evidence was enough for the judge to rule the Suleskis will stay in jail until a trial date in December. Rachel Platt, Kentuckiana's News Channel, WHAS 11.
Now, today's hearing also revealed past cases of alleged abuse against little Alex. As of now, no murder charges have been filed, but the U.S. Attorney says they could be forthcoming in Hardin County soon.
Some good news this evening at the Ford truck plant today. They showed off their first results from Ford's multi-million-dollar expansion. The first light trucks built with the help of 900 newly hired workers rolled off the assembly line today. Now, when the expansion is finished in 2 years, the truck plant will be the largest in the world, and Ford says ready to compete with anyone.
Be it American, Japanese, German, French, Swedish, or any other damn thing you care to mention, we'll take them on.
600 more workers will be hired in 1995 when the second half of the expansion is finished, but Ford says do not apply. They already have more than enough applications on file and will not take any more.
Sunshine inside the Ford plant, but a gloomy day outside.
The sun hid behind the clouds outside most of the day. Will tomorrow be any better? Chuck has the forecast next.
On the next Crusaders,
their level of exposure was intense.
Workers for a corporate giant.
Some of the people don't, in fact, have illnesses.
You think it's all in their minds?
They lost their health to toxic chemicals.
We used to work with a lot of lead.
The company closed the factory, but now the money awarded to cover their medical bills has disappeared. The Crusaders get involved and get results. The Crusaders. Now there's someone on your side.
Tuesday night at 10 on WHAS 11.
Let's compare these two babies. The baby on the left has a beating heart. So does the baby on the right. The baby on the left has arms, legs, fingers, and toes. So does the baby on the right. The baby on the left can turn and jump and kick. so can the baby on the right. The difference is, the baby on the left was just born, and the baby on the right would very much like to be. Life. What a beautiful choice.
If you want to be in a position of power, then get behind the wheel of a 1994 Jeep Grand Cherokee V8 with a powerful 220 horsepower engine, 6,500-pound towing capacity, standard driver's side airbag, and four-wheel anti-lock brakes. It lets you command power in any situation. The Jeep Grand Cherokee V8, the only thing more powerful is the savings.
See your local Jeep and Eagle dealer for the best in automotive sales, service, and value.
The WHAS 11 Storm Team. Meteorologists Chuck Taylor, Ken Schultz, and Ashley Chisholm. The WHAS 11 Storm Team.
With the front stalled south of here, keep your rain gear handy for the next few days. We're seeing light showers now, but there is heavier rain back to the west and some big thunderstorms down over Texas. Closer look at our part of the country shows one area of rain over southeastern Kentucky. More rain is developing to the west. That will be moving eastward. And Norm Eggers up in Seymour, Indiana says a gloomy day with 59 degrees. Steve Mangus in the Knob says 60 degrees there. And at the Pumpkin Patch in Waterford, they've seen a little bit of drizzle. Their temperature is 63. And here in Louisville, under cloudy skies, our temperature is 61. The humidity is high at 84%. Winds are from the east at 9. The barometer falling at 30.02 inches. Today's high was 62. Our morning low is 53, and the airport has seen a trace of rainfall in the past 24 hours. But over the next 24 hours, we could see a quarter to a half inch of rain. With this frontal system stalled south of here, eventually a low-pressure system will form and move right through the Ohio Valley. That means the wet weather will continue till about midday on Thursday. For tonight, look for occasional light rain with the low near 52. Tomorrow we'll see showers and possibly a thunder shower. The high will be around 70. Showers tomorrow night with a low of 56 degrees. For Wednesday, showers and thunderstorms as that low moves through. The high will be near 73. The wet weather will finally end by Thursday afternoon. And here comes the good news. Should clear up on Friday. And this time around, I think we'll finally manage a pretty good weekend.
That sounds great. Thank you, Jeff.
Sports coming up next. Stay with us.
Forever. We're so confident you'll be satisfied with the new or used vehicle you purchase from any of the Swope dealerships that you can return it for any reason within 30 days or 1,500 miles and get your money back. No questions asked.
Nobody walks away from a deal that can't be beat. Swamp dealerships, money back guarantee. Money back guarantee.
It's here, the new 94 Plymouth Voyager. Dual airbags, reclining integrated child safety seats. The safest minivan in the world. And with air and automatic, you get all this for just this. Want the safest minivan ever? Come to the minivan store. Only at your neighborly Chrysler Plymouth dealer.
Now, WHAS 11 Sports, live with Gary Montgomery.
They return to a hero's welcome in Philadelphia, that coming after the Phillies knocked off Toronto in Game 2 of the World Series. Good evening, Gary Montgomery is off tonight. Well, prior to the series, a psychic predicted Toronto would win Game 1 in Philadelphia the next 4, and so far she's 2 for 2. The big blow last night came from Jim Eisenreich, who suffers from Tourette syndrome. It's a problem that causes facial tics and hyperventilation. At one time, it got so bad that he retired from the majors for 2 years. But he says proper medication has allowed him to come back and set an example for others who suffer from the same problem.
The sky's the limit. You know, we're just, even though we're oddballs in the social life, we're or outcasts or whatever, you know, we can accomplish anything or succeed in anything that we wish to do, because, you know, physically and mentally we can be just as strong as anybody, any of that's so-called normal.
Moving on now to the NBA, the unbelievable salaries in the NBA continue to escalate with no end in sight. The latest to strike it rich, Chris Webber of the Golden State Warriors. Today, he signed his contract. He's only 20 years old, and the contracts are reportedly worth between $74 and $95 million over 15 years. Webber says he joins teammates he idolized while playing high school ball just 3 years ago.
I remember what's funny is that I used to go to Victor Alexander's games in high school and watch him play. And I think my little brother asked him for an autograph and he said no. So, but it's just funny to remember all those things and how I looked up to those players.
And we have just learned that Allen Edwards, a 6'5" shooting guard out of Miami High School, is verbally committed to play for the Wildcats, Kentucky.
All right.
Good.
Thanks, Gary.
And up next, we will have a live update on today's fatal shootings at Fort Knox.
There are only 3 things you need to know about Lowe's prices. 1, we have low prices. 2, we have them every day on every item. 3, if by chance you happen to find a lower price anywhere else, Lowe's will beat that price by 10%, just for bringing it to our attention. For one item or a truckload, all you need to know is Lowe's is the only place to go for the best prices on everything you need to improve your home. Period.
If you're looking for ways to make a statement, here's the American-made Mazda 626LX, now available with a V6 engine and standard dual airbags, plus the best basic warranty in its class, loaded with power equipment. Now lease a Mazda 626LX, just $249 per month with nothing down. It'll say a lot about your sense of value and style. Mazda, it just feels right.
Always a dream that's a part of someone. Reach over the horizon and say hello, everyone. More than a dream, it's what we are working together to come so far. Bring us together one by one. It's more than a dream. Hello, everyone.
Growing up on a ranch is a lesson in where to put your trust, like in friends when you need help, or in a man's word instead of a piece of paper. You put trust in the land and holding on to it for future generations. And sometimes you put it in a product when something proves it's worth it, like Ivomac.
Now's the time to ask for Ivomac.
Coming up tonight at 7:30 on Louisville Tonight Live, why is Kentuckiana making messages with ear ecstasy bumper stickers? Find out and see how an area mark